Dasha and Vanya grew up in an ordinary family, with parents who earned as much as they could, raised their children, and created a family. They lived not luxuriously, but quite decently. Both parents worked. Dasha studied in the second year of university, on a budget. Ivan did not pass the competition. Pulling money from his parents to pay tuition did not want to, so he got a job as a loader in a supermarket, waiting for a summons to the army. But life suddenly turned to them the most unpleasant side. Their mother died tragically by a ridiculous accident. In the evening, returning from work, she fell under the wheels of a drunk driver at a pedestrian crossing on a green light. The world collapsed, burying with her mother all the hopes, warmth, and affection that she gave to her children. Dasha immediately took a leave of absence and took on all the female responsibilities in the family: cooking, cleaning, washing dishes. Vanya organized funerals, memorial services, communicated with lawyers in court. The father seemed to have withdrawn from the family. He disappeared all day at work, as he said, to earn money, but for some reason the income to the general budget from his side not only did not increase, but became less. Dasha more and more often broke down, argued with her father, cried for hours on end, or on the contrary, expressed him some incomprehensible claims. Vanya didn't go into these matters. He understood that it was very hard for his sister now. Besides, she was a girl. Her nervous system was weak. Emotions outweighed reason. He just tried to help Dasha. Sometimes he vaguely caught himself that something was wrong with her father, but he did not let these thoughts go. 3 months had passed since his mother's death, and Vanya's birthday was approaching. They decided not to celebrate anything much. It wasn't the right atmosphere. Dasha promised to bake a cake. They would sit down as a family, remember Mum, congratulate Ivan, and that would be it. "Will Dad be there?" my brother asked. "I don't know," said Dasha at once. "He hasn't reported to me." "Dasha?" her brother asked gently. "What's going on? You're angry with him for some reason. You don't want to talk to him. You think that he is not grieving enough, that he doesn't talk to us on these topics. But each of us is going through it in our own way, Daddy. He forgets himself in his work." "He forgets, Vaneshka. He forgets." "Well, let's leave this topic. I'm tired today." "All right, sister, let's not." The girl came up to her brother, rubbed her forehead against his shoulder. That was how they had expressed their affection for each other since childhood. He put his arm round her shoulders and pulled her to him. "Can I help you? Do the dishes or something?" "No, rest. Tomorrow you'll help me. I need to buy something. Some other small things." There was the sound of a key being turned in the lock. My father came into the kitchen and said hello. You could tell he'd been drinking. Not too much, but it was noticeable. "Dad, have you forgotten that tomorrow is my birthday?" No, son, I remember." It was clearly visible that my father had forgotten, and now he was pretending that he had not forgotten. "We're not going to arrange anything. We're just going to have tea and cake, remember, Mum? Congratulate Vanya," Dasha said, trying not to freak out. "I hope you can come home early from work." She emphasized the word with caustic irony. "Yes, I think I can. What time are we going?" 6 o'clock. Vanya's already made arrangements at work to get off early." "Okay, it's a deal." Dad went to his room, which used to be his and Mum's bedroom. The boys fiddled a little more in the kitchen, then went to their corners. Each had his own tiny bedroom, which had been created after the division of the big room. The next day Dasha had finished all the chores by evening. Vanya came at 5 o'clock, bringing groceries, mostly for everyday meals. At his workplace, the employees were allowed to buy food that had reached its sell-by date, or had a small defect in the packaging, at a special discount price, which gave them a small, but still a saving. At about 6 o'clock my father arrived. He congratulated Vanya and gave him a present, an inexpensive notebook in a pseudo-leather cover. Today he was sober, but somehow agitated. Dasha felt anxious, not expecting anything good from him. All the recent events before her mother's death did not allow her to expect anything good. The thing was that a couple of years ago, Her father had started these strange evening jobs with a car. He was taxiing, sometimes till late at night, sometimes even till morning. He justified his absences by the need to earn money, but he didn't bring home much money. The traffic police stopped him, and he had to pay them, or he needed urgent repairs, or there were no clients. Kostya, why do you need such a part-time job? You're tired, you're wrecking the car, and you don't bring in any money. It's better to stay at home, have a rest, Mum used to say. Don't talk nonsense. Father would get angry. They went into the bedroom, where they continued to quarrel quietly. Dasha, as a grown-up girl, guessed the true background of her father's behavior, while Vanya, in his youthful frivolity, did not pay much attention to it. It was very unpleasant and disgusting to think of their father cheating on their mother, but unfortunately, there was no way to escape from it. Then, when all these excuses became simply indecent, Dasha decided to talk to her mother. Mum, I know everything. What do you know, my daughter? Asked her mother tiredly. About our daddy, about his so-called work. I'm not blind, and I'm not little. I saw him getting out of the car, holding out his hand to the young lady, smiling with 50 teeth, and she just flew out like a fucking moth. Why do you put up with all this? What can I do, Dashuta? What? Throw him out. Why do you need him like that? And Vanyushka and I don't need him. Let him go back to his... Daughter, don't say that. He's your father. He's a dog, not a father. We don't need him like that. Dashka. Don't be so hard on yourself. Life is so much more complicated than it seems at first glance. That conversation never ended. The father continued taxiing, arguing with the mother, and she became more and more gloomy and cried more often when she thought that her daughter did not notice anything. She became more and more absent-minded, as they say, went into herself. And it seemed to Dasha that she died because of this, did not notice the rushing car, did not have time to react. The girl returned from her memories to the present, checked the pie in the oven, she would soon take it out. Prepared cups, wiped the table. Daddy, Vanya, come to dinner. She decided not to aggravate the situation, pretended that everything in the family goes as it should. The men came out of their rooms and sat down at the table. My father poured wine into small glasses and wanted to make a toast, but Ivan beat him to it. First of all, let's remember our mother, and then everything else. They drank without clinking their glasses and were silent. At the table there was a lingering atmosphere of awkwardness and languid waiting for the moment when they could finish the cake and go to their rooms. Father took the floor. Vanya, my son, I congratulate you on your birthday. 18 is a round date. Be well, and good luck to you. Thank you, rather indifferently replied the son. He felt the falsity in his father's cheerful toast, and the latter, after a little silence, finally decided to begin the main thing. Vanya, Dasha, please understand me correctly and don't judge me. Our mum was a very good person. I'm sorry for her. Sad that everything turned out this way. But she and I haven't had a united family for a long time. The love is gone. I've fallen in love with another woman, and she and I are going to get married and be together. Dad, what are you talking about? Ivan asked quietly, but very firmly. The same thing, son. Lena and I have applied to the registry office. Of course, there won't be any celebrations. Firstly, it's mourning, and secondly, Lena is pregnant. She's renting a one-room flat, but the lease expires at the end of the month. We'll live here. There was an oppressive silence at the table. What do you mean here? Dasha asked very quietly. That's how it is, cut the father off. Half of the flat belongs to me in any case. With Mum's share we will decide later, so I have the right to live here. And my wife too. Your mistress, firmly corrected the daughter. Don't pick on words, said the father quite peacefully. Formally we have been together for a long time, and soon we will register our marriage and be officially married. Father, do you want to bring her to our flat? Vanya came out of his stupor. To my flat, corrected his father sharply. Half of it is mine according to the documents, and the other half will be inherited from my mother. Of course, I'm not chasing you out into the street. We'll solve this issue later. but I warn you. Behave normally. Get used to the fact that Lena is my wife, and you should treat her accordingly. And remember, the decision on the flat will depend on me, so don't try to attack Lena or talk to her in a raised tone. I hope we understand each other. The bell rang, and Dad went to open the door. Dasha sighed. Come on, Vanya. Take the cake and the kettle and come to my place. We'll sit together. I don't want to get acquainted and talk to that otter. At the threshold of the room they ran into their father, who was elbowing a pretty blonde girl, a little older than Dasha, with a small but noticeable belly. A large traveling bag was visible behind her in the corridor. Where are you going? He asked angrily. I have a headache, Dasha replied sullenly. I'll go to my room. I'll sit with my sister and entertain her. Ivan shrugged his shoulders. Len, let me take the bag into the room, sort out your things. I'll be right there. He went into his daughter's room after the boys and closed the door behind him. What are these demarches? He asked gloomily. What demarches, Daddy? Dasha pretended to be surprised. Did I raise my voice or did I attack your friend? This is my wife, I have already explained, I think. She'll be your wife after you get married in the registry office, but for now, so as not to scratch your nerves with the rude definition of mistress, I'll call her your friend. Darya, once again, do not start a conflict. Please come to the table. Let's all sit together. Get to know each other. We brought some salads, biscuits, a bottle of wine. No, Dad, I'm sorry. We're not going out. Let me celebrate my birthday the way I want, with the people who love me and who I love, with my family. And I'm not your family? If you were alone, that's different. But your friend is not family at all. And we don't have to love her. Raising your voice, attacking, that's not legal, we won't do that. But to love her, I'm sorry. That's not the way it works, Dasha added. Dad left, barely restraining himself from slamming the door. That's the way it is, boys and girls, Dasha sighed. I didn't think that my father would be like this at once. The morning is not over yet, and he has already brought his lover to their room with Mum. He will put her on the bed where Mum slept. Listen, Vanya, don't you have any work for me in the shop? There is a job, but what about your university? What university, Ivanushka? The girl grinned sadly. I have to get a job for now so I don't starve to death. Maybe I'll recover later. Oh, Dashka, Dashka. Her brother shook his head, and she involuntarily remembered that long-ago conversation with her mother. You must recover, as soon as everything gets better. In the meantime, if you want, we're expanding our sales room. We need cashiers. Will you come? Sure, I'll go. Then let's go with me tomorrow morning. I'll take you where you need to go. Talk to you. Try it out. Okay, it's a deal. She hugged her brother and kissed him on the cheek. In the morning, they drove together to the shopping center where Vanya worked. He took her sister to the secretary, who arranged an interview for her. As a result, Dasha was accepted. Documents were drawn up and she was told to go to work tomorrow. She sent her brother a message online and went home to rest, do some housework and get ready for her first day of work. Her father was home, and no sooner had Dasha changed her clothes and tidied up than he went on the offensive. Dasha, we need to have a serious talk. Lena was very upset yesterday that you treated her like that, she cried all evening. You and Ivan can see our new relationship any way you want, but we need to find a consensus. Lena and I will be together. We'll get married. We'll have a child. It's out of the question. And we'll live in this flat. That's out of the question. Wonderful. What about me and Vanya? That's up to you. I'd like to resolve all issues peacefully and calmly to find a common solution. According to the law, I'll soon become a full-fledged owner of the flat. Lena doesn't have her own place. If we have good relations, we will solve housing issues peacefully, calmly, taking into account the interests of all. If you and your brother continue to treat Lena as a stranger, then I'm sorry. I'll act according to the law. Okay, here's the deal. I propose we live amicably, peacefully, with consideration for each other. Lena and I will take the bedroom. You and Vanya have your own rooms. When the baby's born, when he's a little older, we'll decide further. And how will we divide the kitchen? Why share it? shrugged his shoulders. Lena will manage the household for everyone. She has enough experience and skill. Vanya and I will earn money. You need to go to university to recover. We can live well. I have a decent salary. And we'll give all the money to the new mistress, and I can buy new underwear only with her permission and money from the family budget. Dasha, why are you trying to turn everything upside down? I'm sorry my mum died, but life didn't end there. I'm a grown man, a living man, a man. What's wrong with living with a new wife? What's wrong is that you got yourself a new wife while the old one was still alive. You still loved your girlfriend when Mum was alive, when we had a family. If you'd brought this woman a year after Mum's death, when the mourning was over, we'd have understood you. We wouldn't have been thrilled, but we would have understood. But you. Dasha, this is life. And it doesn't always fit into a standardized framework. Yes, that's true, unfortunately. All right, Dad. I'm not meddling in your life. Your affairs are your affairs. We spoke to Vanya yesterday. He's fully behind me. We'll live together for now, but on the principles of a commune. You have your own household. Vanya and I have ours. This is your cupboard in the kitchen. This is ours. This is your shelf in the fridge. That's ours. We'll split the rent and bills. Daria, what are you saying? You can't run a household on Vanya's salary alone. I'm starting work tomorrow. Don't worry about me and my brother, it's not good for you to be nervous. In the evening, Vanya came and confirmed everything my sister had said. The flat became a commune. While Father and Lena went to get things, the guys divided the kitchen space into 2 parts, as well as the hallway, the corridor, and the bathroom. Dasha hung up a neatly drawn schedule for cleaning the common areas. She showed it to her father. He was outraged. What is this nonsense? Lena is pregnant. It's hard for her to clean and mop the floors. So I'll do it myself. What do you mean by yourself? I'm not cleaning up after you. If you don't want to, hire a cleaner. You probably thought that if we live here as a collective farm, this noble labor will be all mine? No, guys, that's not gonna happen. Of course, it was hard to live in such conditions. One evening, Dasha and Vanya were sitting in a cafe on the boulevard. The girl was having ice cream in honor of her first paycheck at the new place. How will we go on, Dashka? Asked my brother. This commune of ours won't last long, especially when they give birth to someone. Yes, you're right. I've learned something. Not everything is as clear-cut as my father says. Anyway, we're registered in the flat. We have the right to live there. And we can't be thrown out. And what's more, the inheritance isn't that simple either. I talked to a lawyer. There are a lot of different nuances, and it is far from certain that my mother's share will go to him. He will be able to say exactly when he looks at the documents, but we have the right to live in any case. It's not a fun place to live, especially for you. Why, especially me? Because, sister, it's time for me to go into the army. So for the next year I won't have to worry about housing. A year will pass, Vanya, and then what? I've already decided. I'll either go to a military school or to the Ministry of Emergency Situations. They also provide housing. And you know, Vanya, I'll probably get married soon. Even then, before your birthday with a guy started dating, so he started calling me to marry in a fortnight. Dasha sighed. He has his own flat, but I did not agree so as not to let you down. And now here are all the conditions. Do you even love him? Or do you just want to run away? Ivan asked sternly. You're a fool, Vanya. As if you've known me for the first year. I never make a step towards anyone without a serious feeling. We are very serious. I met his parents. They are so nice. They call me their daughter. The girl suddenly burst into tears. They have a normal family. And who will I present to them? A pope with a new wife? Don't worry about it. He probably wants you, not your daddy. That's what he says, Vitalka. You can move out now. Leave him and his commune. I told him about you. He wants to meet you. Come on, before he leaves. Yes, of course. Let's do it tomorrow. And we'll have another talk with our newlyweds. Or rather, with my dad. I'll take pity on his girlfriend. We'll talk without her. I won't tell you anything in advance. You'll hear everything yourself. The day after tomorrow, Vanya met Vitalik, and there was an immediate mutual sympathy between the guys. They decided to apply quickly, so that their brother would have time to go to their wedding. The three of them went out for a while, and then Vanya left his sister alone with the groom. He was instructed to arrange with his father to meet without Lena. The day after tomorrow the meeting took place. Dasha immediately announced the changes in her and her brother's life. All in all, Dad, Vanya, for the next year housing will be provided. Even more so. If we, as you say yourself, find a common language, then my brother and I will simply leave the flat and leave it to you to live. But we won't move out. When the time comes, we'll sell the flat and divide it fairly. I hope that by that time you'll have earned a new place to live. My father was outraged to the core. How dare you divide my flat? I'll show you a common language. You'll get nothing. I'll throw you out of the flat. Don't get excited, Dad. Just listen to me for 2 more minutes. I spoke to a good lawyer. We have rights too. Firstly, a residence permit, and secondly, a share of Mum's share. I don't know about these legal terms, but we're part of it, not all of it. So, if we can't come to an agreement, Vanya and I will sell or rent our part of the property to a small Central Asian family of 10 people on a perfectly legal basis. You'll have more fun with them than with us. My father was outraged, promised to take the whole flat, but took no real action. Apparently he did go to a lawyer and learnt some not-so-good news. He broke down the partition in the room between Dasha's and Vanya's bedrooms and made repairs. He and Elena had a son, who settled in this room, the nursery. By common silent consent, the solution of the flat issue was postponed until better times. Dasha and Vitalik had a modest wedding, at which Vanya had time to celebrate, and the next morning he rushed to the assembly point. The guys live in Vitaly's flat and are very happy. Dasha has resumed her studies. She plans to get her diploma, and only then to think about expanding her family. Vanya has been accepted to a military school. He will be an officer. May everyone involved in this story be happy.